This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Tom Barnard Podcast with no Tom Barnard for once. There's no intro music or anything. It just into it, huh?
That was we're off and running. That's the intro for
you got to start with we're back.
And
Good morning, back. Los Angeles.
We're rocking out, man. But yeah, I'm filling in for Tom more or less. I'm also filling in for AJ. So
you want to hit the in StreamYard the video?
Oh yeah,
there we go. Let the people see.
Yes.
Why do we want to
filling in for Tom and also AJ, and also I got no sleep. So it's a good day.
Kids keeping you up late?
Yep. So Ethan's birthday was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was just too much for him, but he woke up 3 times last night.
Oh boy.
No.
The third time it was after a night terror. So he didn't go back to sleep. That was 5:45-ish.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that was fun. He kept having a dream that we were going to turn into bubbles, or bubbles would go into our eyes.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. He kept being like, there's bubbles going into your eyes. And we're like, no, there's no bubbles anywhere. So yeah.
So he'll be traumatized. There'll be no blowing bubbles in the
apparently
Barnard backyard.
Bubbles are now bad.
No bubble wand this summer.
Nope.
No. Well, that's the thing. He used to love bubbles, but I mean, maybe he still does. Who knows? It's hard to say. But so yeah, that's a very interesting start to my day.
Wow.
We'll see how that goes.
And he'll get crabby later on.
Yeah, I'm already way ahead of you there. All right, so what does he usually do in the early hours before everyone starts coming on? Just do the complete sheet or something?
Yeah, complete sheet, or we just kind of talk about whatever's going on. Have you guys seen the what's it called? I think it's like Manhattan alien abduction documentary that's on Netflix?
No.
So I guess apparently back in the 80s, there was a lady that was seen allegedly floating above her high-rise apartment.
Oh, wow.
In New York.
Linda Napolitano.
Yes. And she claims that she was abducted by aliens, that we're all being abducted by aliens and returned back to our house. But they had 23 witnesses, allegedly.
Yeah.
And so the first half of the docuseries is like, wait, did I miss, like, are aliens really abducting everybody? And then they start breaking down, like, all the holes in her investigation. You're like, oh, no, this lady is
completely off her rocker.
Yeah, off her rocker.
Was that the start of the whole UFO thing, or was that going before that? This was 89.
I think it was kind of the heyday. Like, the director that was kind of believing her story, he was trying to put out a book that was supposed to turn into a movie. And so he was on Oprah and like Geraldo and all these other shows, essentially getting laughed at. But yeah, they were, nope, guys, we're dead serious. She even convinced her own son to like play along in the hoax. Now he's traumatized, of course, for his entire life. But yeah, it's if you want to get a good laugh, take a look at this.
Oh God, that's awesome.
I remember as a kid that being like a thing. Alien abduction claims. Definitely, mysteriously, right after everyone started carrying video cameras with them, they kind of fell off. Yeah, probably a coincidence.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think you're making it up.
When I was growing up, they were everywhere. There was crop circles all over the place.
I remember the crop circles.
Yep.
I know for a long time the Air Force had a squad or whatever that would go and investigate these things. Actually, that was in the late 60s and 70s, but they actually went to every abduction or sighting thing to try to figure out, is this real?
Well, I mean, I guess you gotta. They have you read some of the like weird contingency plans that they write up? They have like hundreds and hundreds of them for every contingency.
Oh, wow.
So they'll have a contingency plan for like, what if Canada decides to nuke, like Utah? What do we do in that scenario? Because it's like, it could happen.
Yep.
There's a non-zero chance that Canada just decides to wipe Utah off the map.
Yeah, there's just some big binder that they're flipping through.
That's
somebody
exactly
with a lot of time on their hands and a lot of imagination.
It's like one of those call center scripts.
Yeah, I would assume it's
except for nuclear war. Yeah. Someone calls up Canada. I see you're very upset right now. I'm very sorry. You're a valuable customer to us, and
Yeah, it's definitely a job you give to like the intern or the new guy in the office.
It'd be a fun job, I think. Being the guy who has to just like come up with whatever might happen.
Yep, you got to have an active imagination for that one.
What if the president turns into Bubbles? Or Bubbles go into his eyes? What do we do then?
Oh no!
Like, what if aliens come down and whatever? And you're like, isn't that just the script to War of the Worlds? There's a zombie apocalypse. Somebody watched Walking Dead last night, so there's something in there for that.
How many alien movies are there where the aliens come and they're just like, chill?
They're
just like, hey, nice planet. It's pretty cool.
Unless it's like Men in Black, where they're like
Men in Black is like that.
Some of them are pretty chill.
Oh, we have a request from the chat. They want to hear what I didn't saw while watching the news.
What I didn't
see. He said what you saw not watching the national news.
Oh yeah, we can talk about.
We actually did watch the national news. We actually did watch it for the first time in 4 years because of the election.
Yep.
And as soon as the election was over, we turned it off.
Yep.
We'll watch it 4 years from now.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's our national news cycle.
Every 4 years, just who won? Okay, cool.
Yep, pretty much. All right, so they're going to be on in 2 minutes, right? So we should probably hit the first spot block, yeah?
Yeah, we can hit
how
the
it
first.
works?
Yeah, we can hit the first break. We'll bring back Phil. He'll yell about sports and whatever else, and then we'll officially kick this show off.
All right, we're going into the first break. We will be back with Score North.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank all our listeners for all your continued support. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, they now have hundreds of products, some of you may not even know about. For example, the brand new 4-pack dish towel sets, just $25. 6-pack towel sets, just $25. Bed sheets for as low as $25. Check out their overstock and closeout sale and save up to 80% off select items. You're looking for a good night's sleep? Take advantage of the classic collection on a variety of MyPillows for as low as $9.88. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-516-5146 and use promo code TOM.
This is Brett Paul from Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley. We've always had a professional sales staff on our show floors, but recently have added a few more to the arsenal. Neil Hadding was a salesperson at Valley for over 2 decades, probably the best truck guy around. He left for a manager position elsewhere, but decided to kick back and return to work with thousands of his old friends and customers. It's a similar story with Tim Condon. He spent many years in the sales and finance at Valley before spending time in Alaska, to the relief of many, many friends and customers who returned a few years back. Not a returnee, but a welcome addition to our seasoned staff is Charlie Fink. Charlie followed Neil to Apple Valley to head up the finance department. He is well known to many Twin City car customers after being in the business for over 3 decades. If you're looking for a familiar face or just a face of experience, visit one of these professionals at Jim Paul's Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings, or at valleycardealers.com.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
You certainly are. Or are you?
Minus Tom Barnard.
Yeah, and Phil Mackey, apparently.
And he is right on time.
Oh, there he is.
Like he was listening or something.
Oh, he's eating.
Uh-oh.
Are we like live on the show right now?
Yeah,
we're
live.
What are we doing here, guys? Wow, welcome in.
Let me make
Chewing
you
on
feel
a cough drop here.
unmissed by Tom. Damn disaster, I tell you.
Candy ass, pain in the ass.
Is this like a scheduled day off for Tom, or okay?
Did no one tell you?
He's on the move.
Oh, yeah.
Where's he going?
Florida.
Like permanently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
for the winter season. Okay.
Well, yeah, he's a full resident of Florida now.
Yeah. All right.
And you're alive. This is the first time. What?
Dude,
2 weeks? 3 weeks? A couple months?
It's been a week and a half since I've joined you guys. Yeah. Well, I mean, Mondays and Fridays are the scheduled days, but yeah, I got knocked on my ass. I was like fever and watching Netflix all weekend last weekend, and then of course like. Your voice goes, which is problematic when you're supposed to be talking for hours a day, on a microphone like an idiot. But we're back, we're alive, and here we are.
There you go.
Yeah, just in time for a soon-to-be Vikings victory this weekend, correct?
This is, I don't want to jinx anything because it is the Vikings, but this is the easiest part. That the schedule is as easy as anyone's schedule could be the next 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks, because you got the Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
Who's kind of been struggling anyways this season, but you're going to face a backup. I think Mac Jones is going to start for the Jaguars. He's not very good. The Jaguars are closer to firing a coach than making the playoffs. And then the Titans are in the mix the week after for the number 1 draft pick. They're garbage. And then the Bears, the Bears are a disaster, also close to firing a coach at this point. One of their receivers went on The Score in Chicago a couple days ago and was asked, hey, is your coach losing the locker room? And there was a pause, and the receiver said, I'm not going to say no. so those are your next 3 opponents on the Vikings schedule.
Yeah, and that was the same guy that in the middle of a play walked off the field and sat down on the bench before the play was even over as his teammates decided they have to play 10 on 11 now.
He's like, I felt a twinge in my hamstring. It's like, well, you can still stand there and maybe somebody throws you the ball. But probably not walking off the field during the middle of a play, not the best strategy.
I don't know. That wouldn't last long in the world, I don't believe.
No, I'm surprised. Well, was that after the trade deadline? Because I'm sure his days are numbered in Chicago.
It was before the trade deadline, and he'll be there for the rest of the year. But it's funny now because you can't just get away with it in a stadium, and people forget there's 4K definitions, 75-inch TVs, and people see this play developing, and there's just there's a guy walking off the field in the middle of the play. What's he doing? He just goes and sits down. So the Vikings are at least well coached. The Vikings have a miserable history of ripping fans' hearts out, but. I think you can at least feel confident that they've got good players, good coach, and they're on the right track here for the next 2 or 3 years. But they should win some games for sure the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, so hopefully they keep winning. The Timberwolves, they seem to look pretty good. I mean, they've lost a weird one to Wemby in the Spurs, but I mean, I think they look really good going forward. So we should have a good sports winter here in Minnesota. Yeah,
and last night, so the Wolves went into Chicago last night and played the Bulls. And they kind of sleepwalked their way through the first maybe 2.5 quarters, which is like regular season NBA. They're not exactly pedal to the metal the first 2 quarters. And then they scored 50 points in the 4th quarter on the Bulls. And they were down with 8 minutes to go. They were down by 5. And they wind up leading by 20-some points toward the end of the game. So,
jeez.
Yeah, the Wolves, their offense is a lot better than it was last year. The Wild are off to mostly a fantastic start.
Yep.
Kaprizov is playing like an MVP.
He's not a pretty boy anymore either. He took that puck to the face, made him look like Middleton.
I feel like that's what you to graduate to the next level as a hockey superstar. To just to get a little more grit, you need some battle scars like that.
Yep. Eck broke his nose.
Full mask. How these guys aren't out here with just the full cage. Pucks to the face cannot feel good.
No. And then, hey, the positivity train. The Gopher football team hasn't lost in 6 weeks. And is it a bye this weekend, or they have Rutgers next? And I can't remember if it's this weekend or next weekend, but they've won a bunch of games in a row. So look at us.
Have they played anybody that's good, or is this we're feasting on the bottom half of the Big Ten? Which wins are wins, but
they've played. So their last win last weekend was at Illinois, ranked 24th in the country. I think Illinois was maybe 6-3 or 5-3 going into the game. USC they beat at home. I think USC's not as good as people thought, but at one point they were ranked top 15 in the country, and they went toe to toe with Michigan, a couple other teams. So Penn State is a top 10 team, and they come to Huntington Bank Stadium, I think, in 2 weeks.
23rd.
So the 23rd? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
and
you'll
they
have
do
a chance
play tomorrow. They play Rutgers tomorrow.
Rutgers is tomorrow.
There you go.
So we're going to run the table. We're playing on like a New Year's Eve, New Year's Day bowl game. Can we make the playoff? It's 12 teams now. Is there a shot that the Gophers can make the playoff?
Okay, hear me out on this. So probably not. But if you were to win, they're not ranked yet, but if they were to win their final 3 games, including beating a top 10 Penn State team and then winning at Wisconsin to end the season,
grab the
I
axe.
think they would flirt with a top 15 ranking because they'd be 9-3, and then it would come down to like how many other 2-loss teams. I think 3 losses probably eliminates you. But the fact that like mathematically now that there's 12 teams, if you beat Penn State and maybe you beat Wisconsin on the road.
Well, Wisconsin's really down this year, so I don't know.
They are. It's true.
Yeah, but usually when it's a rivalry game like that, they'll go, you can throw the win-loss totals out the window, and people kind of.
I've watched a couple of Badger games.
Oh, they're bad this year.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
Yeah, it's always funny too because they always have, just aside from the 1 year of Russell Wilson, they always just have like a terrible quarterback. I feel like.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Iowa's scoring 40 points every week. I didn't even recognize this Iowa team.
Yeah, Iowa used to traditionally is like hey, we're just going to take the air completely out of the ball, and we're going to win this game 13-6, and it's
on the ground.
Yep, just hideous football. But
Yeah.
I mean, if it works, I guess.
So my hot take from earlier this week with Judd on our other podcast was that I think PJ Fleck is the most successful Gophers football coach since Murray Warmath in the early 1960s.
Oh, geez.
And if you start to look at, I know he's super corny. He's got his acronyms and he crowd surfs after wins against Rhode Island. He's super quirky. But he's like 500 in conference over 8 years. Glenn Mason, who I love Glenn Mason, but he was like 15 games under 500 in conference over 10 years. And then like Jim Wacker doesn't really qualify. You could say the 2 years of Lou Holtz back in the 80s, like the Pete Nigerian years. But that was 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to count him. So love him or not, PJ Fleck is probably the most successful Gophers football coach in like 65 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and in an era where now you have NIL and the transfer portal is just wide open, where kids can just leave in the middle of practice and say, hey, I'm going to go play for this school over here. You need somebody like PJ Fleck that's going to be a good recruiter. But he does have his flaws when it comes to, time management things and some in-game adjustments that he'll make. But also there's who you're going to bring in that's better. Like everybody wants to always fire the coach, but you're just going to bring in, me off the street to start coaching football. No, you got to have a succession plan in place. And I think, he's at least earned the right to stay.
By the way, total like side street here. Have you guys are you guys all baseball fans, or like to what degree are you baseball fans in this room?
Mild.
A little bit.
Mild?
Yeah.
So Netflix has a new 3-part docuseries about the 2004 Red Sox team that was down 3-0 to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
The only team to ever come back from down 3-0. One of the best sports docuseries I've ever seen.
Really?
It's incredible.
I've almost clicked on it a couple of times because is that the Bloody Sock?
Yeah, Bloody
year?
Sock.
Yep.
So they finished second to the Yankees like 6 straight years in the division. They got clowned in the playoffs. And then even going back historically, it starts with the Red Sox selling Babe Ruth to the Yankees back in 1919 and the curse beginning, and then all the misery that Red Sox fans dealt with. Now the last 20 years, Boston sports fans are the most obnoxious in the country, but there was a time when they didn't win anything for decades. And I don't want to spoil the whole thing for the audience, but they're down 3-0. They win the first 2 games to start coming back. And before game 6, to loosen it up at Yankee Stadium, hostile environment, they bust out a bottle of Jack Daniels, the Red Sox players, right before the game starts.
What?
And they all take a Gatorade cup, and everyone does a double shot of Jack Daniels before game 6. And they came out loosey-goosey. They win the game. They did it again for game 6. It became like their pregame tradition
Oh man!
To get, hey, let's just, guys, we got nothing to lose. Let's loosey goosey this thing, and let's come back from down 3-0.
That's incredible. Just drunk off of Jack Daniels hitting curveballs.
Kurt Schilling's bleeding out of his sock. He smells of Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels is a performance-enhancing drug for some people. Not everyone, but some people.
It's like talking to the umpire. Hey, you come here often? Like, it's just loose on the dime. That's
tested positive for gin before Game 7. But yeah, check it out. I mean, it's even if you're not a huge sports fan, it's a great story and how they put this team of sort of misfits together. And there was Kevin Millar, who actually played for the St. Paul Saints for a minute. Kevin Millar's contract was going to be sold from like the Marlins to a Japanese team, and the Red Sox came in and said, actually, we're looking for a designated hitter. It was like the movie Major League, or who the hell are these guys?
Grab somebody off the street. Here you go.
Yeah, and then of course the star of that team was David Ortiz, and they went through the whole conversation. David Ortiz got cut by the Twins after the 2002 season. Because he had a wrist injury and they didn't like him. And he's down in the Dominican Republic with Pedro Martinez, one of the great pitchers of all time. And Pedro says, hey, how's it going there in Minnesota? He goes, they just released me. And Pedro goes, what? So Pedro calls the Red Sox front office on the spot from the bar they were at and says, we got to sign this guy. They signed David Ortiz. He turns into the modern day Babe Ruth. And the Twins replaced him with some slappy. Can't remember.
Yeah, it worked out for the Twins. Like, not really.
Twins do that a lot.
Yeah.
There's a history of that in the Twins organization.
And Phil, because you were talking about the Jack Daniels before games, which is a wild story. Are you familiar with the 1904 Summer Olympic Marathon?
No.
So this story came up, and I did some research to make sure that it was true.
Oh, is this the one where there's like a guy who like rode in a car for some of it?
Of course, Andy knows this story. When I go obscure sports stories, Andy is the one that I was counting on knowing this.
Yeah, you asked me what happened in the past 50 years in like local sports. I'm not going to know what you're talking about.
He's like, who's Michael Jordan? But yeah, the 1904.
But yeah, 1904, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So as Andy said, the winner, he cheated because he got cramps and like rode in a car and was waving at like the other racers, and then the car broke down and he just runs across the finish line. But the race was run during the hottest part of the day on a dusty country road with 32 athletes. Let's see here. It was, like I said, the hottest day in the history of the world, apparently, for this Olympics.
Yuck.
The winner was disqualified because he hitched a ride on the car for part of the race. The actual winner, Thomas Hicks, nearly collapsed and was hallucinating by the end of the race, a side effect of being administered brandy, raw eggs, and something called strychnine, which is rat poison, essentially, by his trainers.
What?
Not good.
Yeah. Because
fire your trainer.
They thought it was going to help with muscle contractions and like,
in very small doses, it can act as a medicine, but it's one of those things where it's like, oops, I took a crumb too much, and now I'm dead. So and I don't use it so much.
The fourth place finisher took a nap during the race after eating spoiled apples before the race. Like, from start to finish, the whole race was just a complete gong show.
Sleep these apples off.
People were inhaling dust because it was so dry and having like issues breathing. Like, it was the messiest sporting event in the history.
What was the winning time? Do you have the winning time for the marathon?
Let me scroll down here.
The non-car winning time.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 53 seconds.
Wait, including miles. A car?
No, that's disqualifying, getting him out of there.
Got it. Okay.
An average, like a good time to finish a marathon is apparently like 3:45. So
for like normal people, yeah.
Fastest marathon time ever is 2 hours, 1 minute.
Yeah. It is amazing to look back, whether it's marathon times or the history of the 100 meter.
Yeah.
And just see like the progression of what people were running in 1904, 1912 compared to like the 100 meter. If you could crack 11 seconds 100 years ago, you're doing pretty well. Oh. And now, like Usain Bolt, I think still holds the record at like 9.6 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I remember being a little kid, the movie Cool Runnings with the Jamaican bobsled team, and they're running the 100, and he's like, I can run it so fast, I run it in a 9.9, and like you say today, like Usain Bolt runs that before he even gets out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. I mean, my wife ran her first marathon, the Twin Cities Marathon, in October. And so we've gotten the bug now, like Chicago and New York. We'll like watch marathons on TV or watch the coverage. Something I never would have done before she entered this process.
Right?
But
it's
like,
amazing what your wife can get you to do.
But you watch these, dude, the leaders of these marathons, they're sprinting basically for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
I can't sprint to the end of the table.
I know. We took our nephews to the second mile marker at Twin Cities just to see the leaders come through right away. And I'm looking at, so it starts at 8 o'clock and I'm looking down. Okay, we're at like mile 2.5. And so, let's try to do the math. And as I'm doing the math, like 10 minutes in, and the leaders are already, because they're running like, 450 miles or whatever it is, sub 5 miles to start with. But it's incredible, man, to do that for over 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Well, a marathon's 26 miles, and at 2 hours, you're running 13 miles an hour the whole time.
Yeah, think about that.
I'm
13 miles, and seriously,
I'm out.
I can run 13 miles an hour for 10 seconds or so, maybe.
in middle school, before like we were allowed to start playing football, I signed up for cross country because it was like the only fall sport that was available. And I remember the first race, I'm like, okay, we're just all gonna get out here and we're gonna jog a couple miles and go home. And just everybody takes off. And I was like, oh, I'm absolutely not gonna win any of these races.
Yeah. In cross country, it's like you're mostly just running through it's golf courses that they set up for. Yeah,
you're in the golf courses, or if there's a town that has a large wooded area in the middle of their town for some reason, you're running through there.
They should make you run through like cornfields, man. Like it should be like steeplechases.
Corn maze set up,
crossing freeways.
I got caught you in Copenhagen in high school, and I ran cross country one season to get my eligibility back so I could wrestle. That was miserable. Big old load like me trying to run.
Did you throw a dip in for the cross country too?
Just spitting out chew the whole race.
All right, so if I'm not mistaken, I think it's time to hit the next spot block. So,
any parting words, Phil? Before
parting words. I guess don't take rat poisoning before you run long distance.
I mean, you'll finish fourth in a marathon, so can't be all bad for you, right?
Yeah, and fire your trainer if he's giving you rat poisoning. All right, guys, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see the full crew next week.
Yeah,
see you, Phil.
We'll see you
all right, guys.
later.
See ya.
And we're going to be right back.
South Dakota, one of the most business-friendly states in the country, and there's no better place to settle down and take advantage of those incentives than in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. As the state's largest city with a metro population over 290,000, Sioux Falls has low business costs with a high quality of life. There's no state, corporate, or personal income tax. There's no inheritance tax, no limits on what your business can achieve. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, was recently ranked the #1 best small city for business and careers by Forbes, the #2 best state business tax climate by the Tax Foundation, and the #5 top state for e-commerce by Nexus. As one of the Midwest's fastest growing cities, Sioux Falls has a robust, growing job market. No matter where you're at in your career, you have an opportunity. They have an opportunity waiting just for you, as a matter of fact. Our city's tax-friendly climate and strong workforce don't go unrecognized. Forbes named Sioux Falls one of the top small cities for business and careers each of the last 15 years. In 2020, Sioux Falls also ranked as #4 best city for young professionals. How does South Dakota stack up against other states? We rank second in the nation for the lowest cost of doing business, the most business-friendly state, and the best business tax climate. And as South Dakota's biggest city, Sioux Falls is at the center of the. Now is the perfect time to make your move to Sioux Falls. Visit SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they taught you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers, and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw & Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
I wanted to take a second or two to talk about my bank, North American Banking Company. Mike Bilski, I just talked to him yesterday. One of the most helpful bankers. Well, I mean, he's a great friend, don't get me wrong. But he's a very, very helpful. Whenever I run into a problem, somebody be a pain in the ass, whatever, I talk to Bilski. You've heard me talking about them for a long time now, as a matter of fact. When they opened in 1998, they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers, where you know your banker and they know you. Well, a lot has changed since 1998. This commitment to being a true community bank in the Twin Cities has not changed. So if you're looking for a better banking experience, why not bank with my friends at North American Banking Company? Go to nabanco.com or stop by any one of their 6 Twin Cities locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast. Listen live weekday mornings, 8 to 9:30, or anytime you like as a podcast on the Tom Barnard app at tombarnardshow.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back, and so is Chris Eggert. Channel 5's Chris Eggert is brought to you by Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Call Josh today for your free 48-minute evaluation, 952-925-5608. Did anyone tell you that Tom was not going to be here?
I was aware Tom was not going to be here, yes.
So at least one person knew.
Chris pays attention.
I guess I didn't know that was a surprise to anybody. Andy, good to see you. Officer Dave, good to see you. Tevin,
Chris,
as always.
Chris.
How's everybody?
Standing upright.
Tired.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Told the story. I'll retell it quickly in honor of my dad. Just told the story at the beginning of the show how my son woke up at 5:30-ish. Telling us that we were all going to turn into bubbles, and he was very afraid of that.
Wow.
Yeah, we don't know where that came from, but I did unplug all the televisions in the house because that's a safe bet.
At least that's not a scary thing, like him waking up in the middle of the night and saying, you know, the devil came and told me X, Y, Z, or I saw a ghost or whatever. Like bubbles are pretty approachable, even in their worst
right, exactly.
form.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
I mean,
that's
my
different.
3-year-old had said something like, you know, Revelation 17:4.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, exorcists, where do you find those?
I remember what our oldest, who's 19 now, I remember once he like had one of those deals where he woke up in the middle of the night and he was having a bad dream and he was like the voices or some kind of thing like that. And I was freaked out, like super freaked out. Couldn't go back to sleep, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm like sitting there thinking, oh my God, like, is my kid possessed or what's happening? And as it turns out, I think they're both possessed, and so is their mom. So
well, there you go. Runs in the family.
She doesn't listen. She doesn't listen to the show, obviously.
She actually does. She actually does listen with some regularity. So yeah. Yep. Officer Dave, you have kids?
I have 3.
How old?
33 in February, 31 and 30.
They around?
Yeah, they're all in the cities.
Nice.
Yep.
That's nice.
It's nice. The middle guy is married now and lives in Big Lake. So
nice.
Yeah, they're all he's the furthest away. So
and Big Lake's not a terrible drive. It's you cut up the back way or do you go, how do you get up there?
Just up the back way usually because we're on the west side over there too. So it's really simple to get there.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, kids
are. You guys want to know what's going on in the news today, huh?
Yeah, Chris, what big news stories do you have for us? Yeah. Like there was a massive 54-inch muskie caught on Mille Lacs Lake. Did you get to cover that?
Did you see that thing?
Yeah, that was huge.
Dude, it was like a shark.
That thing was fat.
Take a foot off.
Yeah, it's slightly smaller than the Hayward muskie that they had like walk inside of. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so they're going to find out whether or not that was a world record. The guy did as they normally do. He did all the measurements that he had to do before they threw it back. But it's weird because I think a lot of them want you to throw them back. But on the other hand, they've got to like document it very well. Otherwise, if they don't properly document it, then they won't actually get the world record. So it's sort of a catch-22. I don't know. I'd have a hard time if I caught a fish that big, like not wanting to mount it.
But I was just going to say, typically, yeah, you would keep that, and now it sits on your desk forever.
It's like, go buy an aquarium or something.
This guy does a lot of trophy fishing, though. That's kind of his deal. So
he's like, ho-hum, another world record.
Now, I think the look on his face in the picture was like, that was not a ho-hum moment for him. That was like, holy crap.
Yeah, what do they say? A muskie's like 1,000 casts, like one of those fish where, you know, and you definitely have to know what you're doing to be able to catch them. That's for sure.
Because do they hang out? Are they one of the ones that hang out at the bottom?
Yep.
And like eat like the garbage and stuff?
No, they don't eat the garbage. They eat the fish just above them. They'll come up, grab a fish, and
they're back down.
Go back down, and yep.
But there's certain times a year where I think they're more active. So obviously that guy, what's his name? I got his name here. No, I don't have it in this story. We had his name earlier today, but he obviously knew what he was doing.
Minnesota guy, Nolan Springler.
That's it. From
Nolan.
Princeton.
Yeah, good old Nolan.
Good old Nolan.
I don't think that's, I don't know. Well, maybe that's right. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know how trustworthy wired2fish.com is, but that's what they say.
I trust it. And he looks like a Nolan.
Could be a
That's
Nolan.
a massive fish.
That is a big fish.
Governor Walz is back at work today for the first, well, I don't know the first time, but he's doing meeting with his cabinet. And to my knowledge, that meeting hasn't happened since he's been out on the campaign trail. So the governor is back to work in the home state of Minnesota, and we'll see how that all goes. If he can sort of step back in like nothing happened, or I mean, I have no idea. That would be pretty weird, right? Like Tevin, you leave your job. You're like, well, I'm gonna go work for Howard Stern show now. I'll see you guys, and then you go work for Howard Stern for a couple months, and then for Howard Stern decides not to renew his contract, and then you're back on the Tom Barnard show.
Guess who's back? It's got to be an awkward first meeting when they all get together. He's like, okay, I get it. Yes, I lost, but also I'll still fire everybody in here if you make fun of us.
You think he comes in and flexes a little bit? Like you think he comes in and
right, like, or he's just gonna have have a meltdown or something like that. Like as they're arguing about should plastic bags be allowed in the inner city, and he's like, I was just with the president or hopeful elect whatever, and I'm out now.
I almost got out of this hellhole.
Back to saving the candy store.
Andy, do you think he's got to come in and like assert right away, just to like everybody know that he's the boss?
Well, it's like, when you see a small dog meet a Great Dane, what does the small dog do? It's got to make a show of it.
Goes right at him.
But so it's like, kind of the same thing. It's like, all right, I tried to quit, it didn't work, but I'm back. So now I've got to I got to be tough.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just going to make fun of me for the next however long I'm governor.
Yeah. And you can't, I don't blame him. Like if they called and were like, hey, we want you to be vice president, you're not going to no thank you.
Right, exactly.
Like, I might as well take this shot.
Yeah.
I think anybody would have taken that opportunity, right? So
I agree with that.
Yeah, sometimes ladder climbing's okay when you can skip like 30 rungs at a time.
I don't have to take the normal approach. Oh yeah, let me just skip right to the front line.
Take the elevator right to the top.
The easy pass at Disneyland or whatever.
Any of you guys deer hunters?
Used to be.
Firearm opener this weekend. That's another big thing we were talking about this morning. So. Yep. People have been, apparently the numbers look really good in the southern 2/3 of the state, but the deer population hasn't been great, apparently, in northern Minnesota. We talked to the DNR this morning about that, but it's supposed to rain. I'm a pheasant hunter, not a deer hunter, so I don't really know what rain means. I can't imagine it'd be very enjoyable.
It means you're going to be miserable sitting there waiting for a deer to walk by all day.
What does that do for like scent and stuff, Officer Dave?
It'll knock your scent down. It'll knock the human scent down. So the deer won't find you or notice you as quickly. But yeah, you're going to be miserable and cold and making if you wear rain gear, it's going to be noisy.
Bring one of those ice fishing houses with you.
Well, guys, some people do have those blinds that you
go.
sit in and stay dry. But I was never that hardcore, I guess.
No, I would have thought you were like full kit, face paint.
No.
You hunt the deer with your bare hands.
It's like crawling through the mud, like in
jump out from behind a tree and strangle it. It doesn't even know what happened to it.
You got your piano wire out and following a deer around.
The wife wasn't big on venison meat, so it was like, well,
you have to make it just right. Like venison steaks are
they're kind of dry.
They're okay, but make some venison jerky or sticks.
Good
stuff.
Where we always had it done, they made this awesome venison hamburger mixed with pork, so it was really good. She liked that. I says, you know how much hamburger we would have if I did the whole deer in that?
Right?
You would get sick of it. So I really stopped hunting. I was going to try this year, but tomorrow is our 33rd wedding anniversary. So
hard to tell her I'm gonna go
deer hunting for a week on our anniversary. So
solid move. We had a big buck in our yard yesterday. My wife sent me a video of it. I mean, it was huge. I was like, holy crap.
I saw your post on X. It was
did you?
Nice, yeah.
Quick, shoot it.
Well,
that was kind of cool.
We've got this stupid crabapple tree, which is pretty for like one day.
Yeah,
it is. The one day it's beautiful. It really is beautiful, but it never lasts beyond one day, and all the blossoms blow off
the rest of the year.
And then it's just dirty and a pain in the ass the rest of the year. Those stupid crab apples are everywhere. I almost died from a crab apple accident last year because we have like a little bit of a slope in the backyard, and I've got some mobility issues, and because I only have one leg for any of your audience members who aren't aware of that, so I don't walk real well. So I'm walking down the backyard, and it was like stepping on like a bunch of ball bearings or something.
Yeah, because they're in Home Alone.
Yes, marbles or whatever. And I just went ass over tea kettle, just like boom, right on my back. And I laid there. I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? Anything broken? All right. And nobody saw it, so I guess that was fine. But I hate those stupid things.
At least you've got an excuse for mobility issues. I don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would have fell as well, but I don't. I have two perfectly fine working legs, so it's not as good.
Well, anyway, let's see what else is going on. That Adam Fravel guy was found guilty yesterday. Found guilty of killing his mother of his two children down in Winona, which was a big story that had been going on over the last year. They looked for her for 3 months before they found her. Yep. I guess she was originally from or had a connection to Farmington, for what it's worth. And that awful way that all played out, obviously. But I guess if he was found guilty and he's going to spend time in jail, then, that's at least give the family some justice knowing that. So that was another big story that we were following this morning. I'm trying to think what else we had. There's apparently some place, what's it called? The Kimball. Let me find it. Kimball Court Apartments. It's some apartment building near Snelling and University. And I don't know the last time any of you guys have been near Snelling and University, but it's like ever since that CVS closed on the corner. Yep. And now you got all that, great stuff happening on the other side of the intersection where you've got the United Stadium and the new giant loon went up, but it's still been kind of a troubled area. I guess this Kimball Court place is like transitional housing, and the neighbors are just like going crazy over it. They've been calling because of drug use and trouble. Yeah. There was a neighborhood meeting last night, and hundreds of people gathered, and they're like, you guys got to do something about this. Like it's a bad deal. And that sucks because, there aren't a lot of those places for people to go. But on the other hand, if you've got a house in the neighborhood and you don't necessarily want that spilling out into your area. So that was another story we had this morning.
Did they say kind of what they were trying to do? Is it just hey, you guys got to clean up your act, or is there some sort of action that they're looking to take?
The police are like basically said, keep calling 911. Like the more you can, and Officer Dave, you'd speak to this, the more documentation of it there is, the better. I think that's kind of what the point was.
That's huge. The documentation, I didn't want to bother you. We got that a lot. Well, this is how we build cases, people. We can't just the first time you call, go arrest them unless it's egregious, but
right.
Yeah, we need the documentation for problems like that.
I haven't seen the loon yet on the other corner there on the intersection. And it's right down the road from here. I can't believe I haven't driven by it yet.
I'll say I can't believe they didn't send you out there on the grand opening and like this is Chris Eckert reporting live.
We did have a camera over there. So I just haven't. I usually go when I head over to St. Paul. I usually do it on the interstate. I don't take University because the traffic is kind of a mess. So I usually avoid it. But anyway.
All right, we got Bob waiting for us. So
all right,
hit this spot block and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Nice to see you guys. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You take it easy.
All right, we will be right back.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold's do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
The past several years have been the craziest in the history of the car business. The pandemic, supply chain and chip issues, all causing extreme inventory shortages that led to, well, predatory pricing. Some dealers charge thousands of dollars over MSRP.
We never played that game. I'm Jim Paul of Valley Buick GMC. We knew that would leave a bad taste in a customer's mouth. More importantly, from an integrity standpoint, it was just wrong.
So what about the current market? Inventory and pricing.
Valley has their best inventory in years. Really all the Buick and GMC models. Even the previously hard-to-find Yukons, HD pickups, and Hummer EVs. Plenty of deep discounts. Many with factory rebates and low-interest financing.
Then it's a good time to buy?
It's a great time. We're welcoming our previous customers back, as well as anyone else that felt the treatment just didn't feel right the last time somewhere else.
Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley and Hastings or valleycardealers.com. Car buying without the bad aftertaste.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank all our listeners for all your continued support. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, they now have hundreds of products, some of you may not even know about. For example, the brand new 4-pack dish towel sets, just $25. 6-pack towel sets, just $25. Bed sheets for as low as $25. Check out their overstock and closeout sale and save up to 80% off select items. You're looking for a good night's sleep? Take advantage of the classic collection on a variety of MyPillows for as low as $9.88. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-516-5146 and use promo code TOM.
This is the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Bob Sansevier Sports is brought to you by Bradshaw & Bryant, personal injury lawyers seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw & Bryant at minnesotapersonalinjury.com. And we also have a special guest who wants to say hello to him and the rest of us.
Well, not just him.
Oh, got a twofer.
Thanks a lot.
Wait a minute. Let me turn up the volume really loudly so we get some feedback.
Bob, I think that was a shot at you.
Hello, we're on the road, Tom.
All right, Anna.
It's your mom.
Yes.
I didn't get it right away.
Oh, okay. Yes. That'll be Tom and Kathryn on the road.
Who is this fabulous woman? Now I know.
Yeah, who's this? But we have to call in to tell you we're driving along on the freeway in Macon, just outside of Macon, Georgia, listening to the Tom Barnard Show with these superstars on it.
Yeah, the junior varsity for sure.
Yeah, it's super something.
Super something.
Hey Tom, I'm 364 days early, but let me wish you a happy birthday.
Yes, you are rather early, but thank you. It's very nice. God, I got so many messages from people. It's just very, very sweet.
Well, it's your birthday. It's a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you do anything fun, or was it just packing for your trip to Florida?
Well, now wait a second. I'm sitting right here next to the most wonderful woman in the world, so of course I'm having a great time.
You got your own chauffeur.
This is how you stay together during a car trip, and you be super nice to each other.
How do you guys split it up, the driving? One of you just power through, or do you take turns?
Oh, ish. No, it's too far. It's way too far. We stopped in some place called Champaign, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
There's the University of Illinois there. It's actually a very pretty college town. And that was 7-8 hours, something like that. Because we left after the podcast.
Yep.
So
on Wednesday.
Drive for 10 or 12 hours. And then yesterday was a long slog from Champaign, Illinois to a town called McDonough, Georgia, which is, I don't know, outside of Atlanta, maybe 40 minutes. But of course, Apple Maps took us, I think, an extra 40 minutes out of our way. And then today we are, I think, 8 hours down to West Palm Beach. So it's a long drive.
Nice.
And Tom's behind the wheel for exactly how many of those miles?
15.
Be 0.
Zero.
All right
miles.
then.
Tom, what I went with is I convinced Mary I have night blindness, so I get out of the late night. So now I don't have to get behind the wheel starting at 4 o'clock.
Tom's the co-host in the car.
Oh yeah, there you
Comic
go.
relief.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we don't want to hold up the show, but it was a new life experience. I have not in all my years driven on a highway in Georgia, listening to my son and our friends on the it's all coming up through the radio. So I can say you're on the radio.
Or called into your own show, I imagine.
Yeah. You're called into my own show. I've never done that before either.
Life's
Very,
always
very
got
good.
firsts.
No, the show sounds good. Just wanted you to know, and we're long time listener, first time caller.
You might be the longest time listener.
Yeah.
It's only been 54 years before I called into my own show.
There you go.
All right, gentlemen, have a great day, and we'll be listening.
Sounds good.
Yeah, have a
Be
safe
safe.
trip.
Travel safely.
Talk to you probably tonight.
That sounds good. Thanks.
Bye.
Andy, honestly, I didn't recognize your mom's voice.
That's interesting. I don't. It might sound different to you coming through the phone.
It did a little
our
bit,
system,
yeah.
and then through the internet to your system. There's a lot of traversing the lands going on with these signals.
So who does? I mean, does your dad drive much at all? Does your mom want to do most of the driving?
I think that she does most of the driving.
Yeah, from what he says, it sounds like he's maybe banned from getting behind.
I think
the
he's the
wheel.
passenger
Yeah.
princess the whole way down.
Mhm.
So he found his, whatever it is, like me with nighttime driving, he found his.
Yeah.
Good for him. Did I ever tell you guys, this is when I didn't come up with the whole night blindness thing. Years and years ago, we went to a horse show in South Dakota, and I told Mary, we left at midnight from there to come home, and I told my wife, you have to stay up because I'm not going to be able to do it unless you talk to me or keep me up. 5 minutes outside of the venue we're at, she's asleep. So I made a tactical decision that I still get reminded of and pay for. I woke her up and started a fight that lasted the entire way home. But
No.
it saved our lives. It kept us
Yeah.
awake. But
You
she's
would-
still pissed about that.
That is desperate times. Your options were let her sleep and I'll just drive, or
And
let me
die.
start an argument.
I'll just drive off the road, or we'll start a fight and we'll get home safe.
If you don't
And
mind me
sorry.
asking, what was the fight about? Was it about any? Was it just like you just picked the first random thing to fight about? or-
I just started barraging her. It probably started with, hey, you weren't supposed to fall asleep. And then it went from there. Well, okay, you've all had fights. Usually you bring things that have nothing to do with the origin of the fight.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. You're like,
I
and you
pulled out
flows weird. And...
everything. I tell you what, though, I didn't need that 5-hour energy drink. I was up and good to go. So anyway, now, Officer, I've never met you before on the air.
Right.
So do you go by Dave, Officer Dave?
I
Dave?
go by whatever you want to call me, as long as you don't call me late for supper. You can call me Dumb Dave, Officer Dave. I don't care.
So are you still are you still a practicing officer?
Part-time.
Okay.
He tried to retire, but roped him right back in.
Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Just like I was gonna say, just like Michael Corleone.
Exactly. I'm a fan.
Yeah. Who isn't?
Exactly.
So you must love Tulsa King too, then.
We don't spend a lot on streaming services, so I have not seen Tulsa.
Find a friend that has Paramount Plus. It's worth it.
All right.
And actually, did you ever watch The Sopranos?
Yes.
Oh, did you like it?
Loved it.
Okay. The guy that was, I think he was one of the creators and wrote many of The Sopranos, Terrence Winter, is writing Tulsa King. Now, he co-wrote the last episode.
Okay.
He's involved in it. So the writing is just phenomenal. It's got that same, gritty sense of humor to it.
Okay. That's cool.
So it's a lot of fun.
Figure this out.
And also, just a quick aside for people looking, I love Tulsa King, but I have a couple of shows that now rival it. Ever since Tuesday night, The View and MSNBC. Watching those meltdowns are incredibly entertaining. It's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something else besides Tulsa King or Blue Bloods, by the way, do any of you like Blue Bloods? Officer Dave, you must love it, right?
Actually, no. Television.
That's regular TV.
Like yeah, that's
old school TV.
You shoot somebody 5 minutes later, you're back on the job. That doesn't fly for me.
It works when you're an hour show.
Yeah, time compression, I think. Well, it's
good. Sorry.
It's like when, one of my favorite shows of all time is House MD.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the things that they do as doctors, they would be in prison.
Oh, God, yeah.
They'd have their license revoked the next day, and they'd be in prison the day after that, like 70 times throughout the course of the show. It's a TV show,
Yeah.
But he was a phenomenal character.
Yeah, he certainly was.
Yeah, it was
like barging into operating rooms without washing up first. That right there. Yeah, that's a big no-no. But so it's like, it's TV. Cops can shoot people, not a big deal.
But in fairness, it was a hospital that was in New Jersey. So,
wow, there you go.
Cleanliness not always next to,
godliness in that one.
I keep washing my hands, but they're still full of grime. I don't understand.
There's something to it like that. So, should I mention the Vikings are playing against the Jaguars?
Yeah,
in Jacksonville.
Game of the year.
Game of the year.
Yeah, this one. Well, they'd better win this one.
You think there's a chance they'll play down to the Jags?
That is the history of the Minnesota Vikings.
Exactly.
Yes,
that's why I brought it up.
Yeah. So they'll play down the next 2 weeks because they got the Titans up next, and they're both road, which shouldn't matter. But this is one where they really need to crush somebody, because that's what you do if you're like, look at what Detroit is doing to teams.
Yeah.
Now Kansas City, they just eke them out, but they keep winning because the good teams find a way to win. And the Vikings, unfortunately for them, didn't find a way to win against Detroit or the Rams.
Yeah,
they had opportunities.
Yeah, this is a situation where don't play with your food. Just show up, get the job done, and then we're playing
and
back
come home.
Time. Yeah,
that's a good analogy, Tevin. I like that.
We got Lammers on the line after Tom and Kathryn rudely Bob's time. So
hey, you know what?
This
is the sort of game that the Vikings could lose, isn't it? It's just one of these that people just get, like elections, they get overconfident, and then all of a sudden the day comes and it's like flatline. So let's not hope that's the case here, Bob.
Well, yes, and I also I've spent more time on Twitter /X than I have ever, because some of the videos on there are just priceless.
Yeah.
One guy, I think it's called the Defiant L's. He put the top 10 videos of meltdowns for Kamala fans. And there was a woman who was she calls herself a political analyst. She had been a professor. Did you see this one about when she went out for champagne and she's mocking the guy? This is 5:00 Eastern time, the day of the election, when she was so confident Kamala was going to rout Trump. If you could find that thing, actually, if you go to @BobSansevere on Twitter, I did put it up there.
Yeah,
I've
been
hilarious.
Spending a lot of time watching the meltdowns too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I also
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say
it's on the BS show today as well. Now, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious to know who watched what coverage on Tuesday night, because I have to say, and I got one of my cats.
I see a kitty cat.
Well, there we go. She's trying to show up. I watched Prime Video. I thought Brian Williams was terrific on Tuesday night. I don't even know if people were aware, but
here's the problem with watching Prime Video for me. I can't flip around to the other stations quickly. I have to get out of streaming.
Yeah.
By the way, you know who I thought of when I saw that cat on your lap? The opening scene of The Godfather. You were Marlon Brando.
There you go.
There you go.
There is a trailer out right now. I'm not sure about the movie. It sounds kind of strange, but it's called Waltzing with Brando. Billy Zane, who of course was Cal, the bad guy in Titanic, is a clone of Marlon Brando in this movie. We look up the trailer, Bob. It's called Waltzing with Brando, and it's like it's uncanny. I don't know if
where would you find it? Which streaming service?
It's not it's a movie that's coming out. But if you go to YouTube, and just search for Waltzing with Brando, you will see Billy Zane as Marlon Brando, and it's incredible. I'm not sure about the impersonation, but he certainly looks like him.
I think I can put it up quick in just a little bit.
Yeah, please do that just for a second.
I have to convert it from a WebP because, of course, everything's WebP these days.
Well, you know,
about
Brando,
means, but
when you saw him when he was younger, like for people that first saw him in the movie, the voice that he has, it was like for me seeing Patrick Mahomes talk for the first time. I didn't expect that voice to come out of that guy.
Yep. And the balls in the cheeks, that was just
phenomenal.
Hilarious. It made the character.
Yeah. And in his later years, of course, he became more of a mystique, and his delivery was much more lax, but he was much more energetic when he was younger. And the amazing thing is he would go like on Dick Cavett and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of great interviews if you search YouTube to see the young Marlon Brando interviews, because obviously he wasn't as accessible when he was older, but when he was younger, you're right. It's a totally different. I get a totally different vibe from the guy.
When he got older, he was holed up at home eating gallons of ice cream.
5 gallons of ice cream. Didn't Tom? One of the famous deals with him was stomach ruptures.
Well, Nicholson, I think, sent him ice cream because they were next door neighbors, I believe.
And Nicholson bought his house, after Marlon died.
Oh, really?
So joining property.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's even occupied. You got something, Andy?
Yes. Which one's which?
Well, the one on the left is definitely Marlon Brando, and the other one's Billy Zane.
That's pretty damn good, though.
Yeah, that's a hell of a job in the makeup team.
Wow,
yeah, pretty good.
Well, I'll tell you that the other great makeup job. If any of you watched The Penguin, my God, you would never know Colin Farrell was under all that.
No, definitely.
And I admire Colin Farrell for going with the every actor wants their close up. You get a close up here, you have no idea. You think it's
That's
Richard
true,
Kind. Yeah. He completely disappears into the character, and I love that. It's like, okay, I want to be in this, but I want nobody to know who I am. And that's terrific. So
the later Brando and the later Orson Welles, when I see both of them, I keep thinking, wouldn't it have been great if they could have got those two guys sumo wrestling? It's incredible how big those two guys became.
They became huge.
The thing about sumo wrestlers is you need muscle to do that too. I don't know if either of those guys had the fat and the muscle.
That's true.
I think they just had one part of the equation.
Yes, but I'll tell you what, you could sell that on pay-per-view. Much better. Are any of you going to watch Tyson? It's the 15th, I think, right? Yeah. Tyson against this Paul guy.
Jake Paul.
That's going to last one punch from Tyson, and it's all done.
Yeah.
I'm with
you. Know what? With the future with AI, Bob, I think we are going to see Brando and Orson Welles. I think you just put a film idea out there, and somebody's going to do it. I bet you somebody could do it now.
Just like Celebrity Death.
I was going to say that sounds like a Celebrity Deathmatch bit.
Yep.
They call
Which was a great show, by the way.
War of the Fat Worlds.
All right, Bob Sat Severe Sports, sponsored by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyers. We'll take a quick break and we'll keep Tim on. But Bob, I'll talk to you in another 10 years or so.
Well, aren't you? Are you not going to? Will you be filling in Monday?
No, this is the only day I'm filling in. They're going to be back. I think they're getting in tomorrow.
The drive to Florida is not that far.
It's far, but if you're willing to power through 8 hours a day.
Andy,
it sounds like a nightmare to me, but
also in the film, or put this in the category of my God, time flies. Tom mentioned the other day that Ethan is 3 years old.
Turned 3 yesterday.
Oh my God.
I know.
I mean, it just seems like, I was watching it, and I love, by the way, what you and your wife did with Melissa, with the that little clock that every month you put him on that thing to show he's a month older.
Yep, the month thing.
Are you using that? You still using that?
Yeah, we just so the second kids just turned 2 months old yesterday. So
wait a minute. So they have the same birthday? No.
They're 2 months apart exactly.
Same day.
Yes, so they're both born on the 7th.
Never good at math, Andy. I was never. All right. We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
Okay, take care, Dave.
All right, we will be right back with more Tim.
I'm talking with my friends Michael Bilski and Brad Huckle of North American Banking Company. Guys, business owners have had to deal with a lot over the last few years, haven't they?
They sure have, Tommy. We pride ourselves on being able to help our customers with the challenges they face.
Our business bankers are experts and are always ready to help our customers capitalize on opportunities and solve problems.
Loan decisions come quickly because they're made here in the Twin Cities and not shipped out of state like at some of the national banks in town.
This allows our customers to expand their businesses with confidence, knowing that they have our team of experts in their corner.
Okay, so now you give me this big thing at the end. Way to go.
Well, you are the professional.
Oh, I forgot. Look, I know Brad and Mike, and I trust them with my banking. They've personally delivered on everything they've just said, so why not bank with my banker? North American Banking Company, a better banking experience, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When you need someone to listen, a lawyer you know and trust.
If you've never been in an auto accident, it's hard to know what to expect from the insurance adjuster. Here are some tips. 1, if they talk to you about whether or not you should hire a lawyer, it's a good sign that you probably should. 2, it's illegal for them to give you any legal advice. They aren't lawyers and they aren't licensed to practice law. 3, if they tell you that everyone involved in the accident is at fault, they're wrong. This comes from the belief that you're at fault for just being on the road. That's nonsense and not supported by any law. Finally, remember that friendly adjusters are often just gaining information. They want you to do most of the talking so they can file their report. I'm Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant. I hope you're never injured in a collision. But if you are, don't sign anything until you've talked to us.
Find Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury attorneys at minnesotapersonalinjury.com.
Seeking justice for the injured. Bradshaw and Bryant.
Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Sometimes the anxiety for wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? My guy, Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, can sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk. Never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608. Set up your free 48-minute no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608. Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC Security Investment Advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments must involve risk. You know that. All comments and opinions of Josh Arnold do not constitute investment advice. I am a paid endorser.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Tim Lammers is brought to you by Bradshaw and Bryant, personal injury lawyers seeking justice for the injured. Contact Bradshaw and Bryant at minnesotapersonalinjury.com. And now he has his own segment even.
There you go. There you go. I have to tell you, man, it's always tough to approach movies about religion because somebody out there is going to want to go after you.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And for whatever you say, you know, when The Passion of the Christ came out way back when, I wrote a piece, kind of like an opinion piece about don't bring your kids to this. It's an R movie.
It's not Jesus Christ Superstar.
No, I just watched it for the first time, I think last year. And yeah, it's not something you want anyone under probably, God, maybe even like 14 to see.
Yeah. Well, and the thing was at the time, the reports were widespread about people doing just that, bringing not only 14-year-olds, but younger than that.
Yep.
And my argument was, look, there's just other ways to teach your child about. And my favorite all-time email, because I've gotten a few, not too many hate emails, but my favorite was simply said, Satan has swallowed your soul. That was it.
Wow. I think I would have remembered that.
Yeah. And you know, I won't reveal the business. It was actually from Minnesota somewhere, I think. But it was very, very known business. So it's like blah blah blah, manager, blah blah blah. It's like, okay. I don't think I'm gonna go there anymore.
It's not don't see it. It just wait to show your kid it.
Yeah.
And that makes
well,
avatar
not even
of Satan.
Yeah, I mean, look, just find a different way. That's all I was asking. I wasn't saying avoid it or anything like that. I mean, it was simply a friendly suggestion. I mean, because part of what you do as a movie reviewer, if you're responsible, is you look at it for intended audiences. And if this clearly wasn't the intended audience for it, I'm going to tell you about that.
Right.
Well, I mean, assuming it was rated R, so
God, yeah. Oh, God, yeah. But all she needs is a guardian, right?
My mom clearly didn't listen to your review because I remember sitting in the theaters and I was probably 12 years old seeing it and being like, this movie is terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I need to go.
And as a really, as a Catholic, practicing Catholic and married to a extremely practicing Catholic, it's become like it's a wonderful life for us. It's every Easter we have to watch The Passion of the Christ. But my wife says, yeah, we're definitely not letting the kids see this until they can decide they want to see it on their own.
So anyway, well, first of all, Officer Dave, good to see you again, man. It's been a while. So now today we have a movie that I think is going to raise a few hackles. It's called Heretic. And it's about if you've seen the trailer, I mean, it's an ominous sort of trailer. These two young Mormon teens, not young teens, but teenagers, high school teens, knock on a door in Utah. They're trying to convert people to become Mormons. And on their list of people, quote unquote, interested in learning things is this guy named Mr. Reed, played by a very against type Hugh Grant. And he said, oh, well, yes, I'm very interested, but, it's raining outside. Why don't you come on in? And they say, well, sir, it's against our thing unless there's a female present. Oh, well, my wife is home. Come on in. Well, they go in, he locks the doors. The doors are deadbolt locked on a timer. They can't get out. The wife thing is all made up, of course. And it really is this rumination about religion. His whole thing is, I'm going to tell you what I believe is the one true religion. So it becomes this really involved and complex screenplay, whatever, about religion. They discuss different religions, different faiths. It's really fascinating, but you really need to pay attention, right? But this guy is diabolical. Things are going to get really ugly at one point. You're going to discover how terrible of a guy he really is. So yes, it does get bloody. It does get gory. And I just think that, I don't know. I mean, do people protest outside of movies anymore? I mean, I would think that once the word gets out about this, because maybe they discovered that if you protest against a movie, there's no bad publicity when it comes to
Streisand effect. Yep.
It's just going to get more people into the movie.
What's everybody so worked up about?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I got to see what this is all about. So I am shocked at Hugh Grant is so damn good in this movie. I mean, like Oscar performance good in this movie. I'm wondering, he did the Notting Hill and the Four Weddings and a Funeral and all that sort of stuff. It's like, dude, where have you been? I mean, you could have been doing this stuff a long time ago, because he does it in a way that there's this undercurrent of he's really sinister. And, he's also charming like he is in those movies, but there's something bubbling underneath the surface too. He's a really bad guy. So, I mean, honest to God, just for that performance alone, see the movie. Again, it's going to challenge you. It depends on how devout you are, in your faith. And they discuss more than, they discuss Catholicism and Judaism and everything. So it is really a mind bender. I don't know if I would quite go so far as the critics are just loving the hell out of this movie. I can see the audience not being as enthusiastic about it. Because it's, critic movies,
Right.
Things
critically, audiences look at them emotionally.
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see. And it's hard to measure it. I mean, if you go on Twitter, I mean, or X, excuse me, what that's all about. I mean, people just going, they're around the bend on that thing. And you have Rotten Tomatoes, you have audience scores and stuff. But I would be curious to see if again, anybody's hackles are raised about this, because it gets pretty involved with this whole discussion about religion and what, again, Hugh Grant's character believes is the one true religion.
Yeah. Did it perform at any like film festivals or anything where people kind of
Yeah, it did. I'm not sure which ones it did, but it's the sort of thing. It's an independent film from the studio called A24. They're a terrific studio. I mean, they go for it. They go for it because they're independent. But they released the movie Civil War. I don't know if you saw that. They're starting to go with more wider releases now. So this film is going to be a wide release, 3,200 theaters, I think, this weekend. So it's not going to do. Civil War opened like with 25 million in April. I don't think it's going to do that sort of business, but they're talking 10 million. You got to remember, since it's an independent film, the budget is very low, so they can afford to be risky. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kristen. Thank you, Kristen. She said Heretic screened at the Toronto Film Festival and the AFI Film Fest. So she can tell you more about that and maybe the reaction to it. I knew it did screen at some festivals. I wasn't sure where.
Do you want me to bring her on?
Yeah, please. That'd be great.
All right.
Oh, is she ready?
Is she ready?
She might be typing in an article.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hold on, I was typing. Exactly.
So what have you heard audience-wise, Kristen, about Heretic? Because again, I think it's going to grab Oscar attention, at least Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets is terrific. And Chloe East, I haven't even heard of her. She's terrific. It's basically a 3-person movie, almost like a stage play in this house. Very claustrophobic, but a terrific movie. But again, it's going to challenge some people and perhaps piss some people off.
Yeah, it comes at an interesting time. First of all, I think this is kind of he never went away, but this is just like maybe a renaissance for Hugh Grant and his career. First of all, I mean, he's even great in Paddington. His villain era is amazing. Like, that's what I love about it. And he embraces it, and he embraces his curmudgeonly personality in real life too. And I think that is working for him. Believe it.
Well, what's really great about this movie, and I was just telling everybody here, is that he has that same sort of chipper demeanor, and Huey's just all over the place all the time. So he has this charm about him, but in this, you can also sense this undercurrent of he's really sinister.
It's delicious.
The dude's got something on. Yeah, he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. And the other aspect to this is that there is a huge fascination with Mormonism right now. We have reality shows about it. Right now, Dancing with the Stars, half the pros are Mormon, and there's like a lot of fascination because the show is having its own resurgence. And on TikTok, people talk about it because people never really understand Mormonism. It's one of those, it's kind of like Scientology in that people are always questioning like what it's about and you know, the whole like caffeine, but then they sit there and drink soda for breakfast. Like it
and they actually refer to that at one point in the movie. I mean, I'll be interested to see how the Mormons react to this. One thing I don't get, and I'll let you go because you got your time coming here. This whole idea of sending two vulnerable and very naive teen girls door to door, and they have these rules where, okay, yeah, we're not supposed to come in unless there's a female present. And of course, Hugh Grant's character tricks them into coming in. But even though they know they're the target of something, they still have to complete a process. They have to talk and give their pitch and get some sort of, it's interesting. Even though they sense something's wrong, they still stay. As it turns out, the door's locked anyway, so there's nothing they could do. But this whole idea of putting people in situations that they might not get out of, that's frightening to me.
And they still do it to this day. These, the teens, because they're usually about 18, 19 when they go on their missions, still choose to do it. They give you a location. Sometimes you're in the US, sometimes you're in a foreign country, and they travel in pairs, preaching about the religion. And in 2024, I think that sounds a little scary, to be honest. And yeah. I understand like why the premise of the film even came about.
Yeah. So, and also, I mean, obviously I've never had the door knock for the Mormon recruits, but I certainly have had my share of Jehovah's Witnesses come to the door. But I've always noticed there, yes, they may send teen girls or whatever, but there's always somebody in the car waiting for
There's
them.
always at least a group of 3. And
I mean, I still think it's how can you do that to these poor kids, sending them to these doors?
Girl
but
Scouts
at least
don't
they
go
have
door
that
to door anymore. Like, why should we be sending 18-year-old Mormons? I don't know.
Yeah. And so they have their bicycles and they're going door to door. They're alone. I mean, it's unnerving. It's unnerving. So a lot of things that are unnerving about this. Again, I think at its heart, it's a psychological horror thriller, but it does get into the blood and it does get into the gore and things that are a lot more sinister than just this whole theological argument going on there from Hugh's character. So yeah, I would recommend it, but get ready. It's gonna, I think it's gonna piss some people off.
Push some buttons, which is good.
It's
good.
Okay. It's not what we get every day. So yeah, it's great.
Did you see Gladiator 2 yet? Have you seen it?
Not yet.
I saw it last night. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? And compared to the first?
I feel like it has a different feel from the first. I feel like the first one felt like an award show type of movie. But I will tell you that Denzel Washington just runs away with this film. Runs away with it. He's so good. And it had me like going up and looking his age because I was like, he's a badass in this film. And I was like, oh, look at that. He's 69. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to see people out there at 69 kicking some butt. So it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, the one thing that I don't get about the movie, and you see this in the trailer, there's an actor named Spencer Treat Clark who played the young Lucius in the original Gladiator. What I caught from the trailer, and I don't know how they do it with the film, they digitize a young Paul Mescal's face onto this kid's body from the original film to recall what happened in the last film. I thought, God, if I were Spencer Treat Clark, I'd be pissed off here. They kind of erased his character,
like,
and made him look like a young Paul Mescal. So again, I'll have to see it. I know I got some sort of invitation somewhere, but one of the most anticipated movies of the fall. That's for sure. Fall.
Well, it's going to be the
holiday.
Glicked weekend. That's what I'm calling it. Is Glicked? Because you can't, what are you going to call Gladiator? Wicked and Gladiator 2 in the same weekend, and they're both going to be monster hits, to be honest. Different audiences, but I'm like, let's make it another Barbenheimer. Let's go.
Yeah, really. And by all indications, now hearing from you and then hearing what I've heard about Wicked, that's screening for me pretty quick as well.
I have that next week. Do you have it next week?
Yeah, early in the week. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
have to check
excited.
the day. Yeah. So we'll find out. All right. Well, hey, everybody have a great weekend. Kristen, good to see you again. And we'll talk next week.
Yeah, we'll see you on Monday. Tim Lammers, sponsored by
See you, Timmy.
Bradshaw and Bryant,
See ya.
personal injury lawyers. And now Kristen's got her own segment, just like Tim, although we should probably do our last spot block before we continue. And then we can go as long as we want because Tom's not here. I have usurped the throne. We're going all night. All right, we'll be right back in about 2 minutes with more Kristen.
Mike Lindell and MyPillow employees want to thank all our listeners for all your continued support. When Mike started MyPillow, it's just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, they now have hundreds of products some of you may not even know about. For example, the brand new 4-pack dish towel sets, just $25. 6-pack towel sets, just $25. Bed sheets for as low as $25. Check out their overstock and closeout sale and save up to 80% off select items. You're looking for a good night's sleep? Take advantage of the classic collection on a variety of MyPillows for as low as $9.88. These amazing offers won't last long, so order now. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-516-5146 and use promo code TOM.
This is Brett Paul from Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley. We have always had a professional sales staff on our show floors, but recently have added a few more to the arsenal. Neil Hadding was a salesperson at Valley for over 2 decades, probably the best truck guy around. He left for a manager position elsewhere, but decided to kick back and return to work with thousands of his old friends and customers. It's a similar story with Tim Condon. He spent many years in the sales and finance at Valley before spending time in Alaska, to the relief of many, many friends and customers who returned a few years back. Not a returnee, but a welcome addition to our seasoned staff is Charlie Fink. Charlie followed Neil to Apple Valley to head up the finance department. He is well known to many Twin City car customers after being in the business for over 3 decades. If you're looking for a familiar face or just a face of experience, visit one of these professionals at Jim Paul's Valley Buick GMC in Apple Valley or Hastings, or at valleycardealers.com.
I hosted my show on the radio for 40 years. Now I host the Tom Barnard podcast, and I'll tell you, I've never seen the passion and engagement from our audience as I do now. I know we also have businesses that listen to our podcast, and it got me thinking, wouldn't it be great to help those businesses grow by telling my listeners about them? So here's the deal. If you own or handle marketing for a business, would like to have my audience buy your product or service, visit TomBernardShow.com, keyword partner, and we'll put together an ad campaign to help your business. That's TomBernardShow.com, keyword partner, and thank you for listening.
You're listening to the Tom Barnard Podcast.
Kristen Burt Entertainment News is brought to you by North American Banking Company. Go to nabankco.com to learn more. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, and then it says Fun KB.
Oh, yeah. Tom was going to write FU and hold it up to her one day and then decided to write fun instead.
I think I was on the air when that was happening too.
Yes. Yep.
I'm like, I don't think it was done behind my back.
No, everything that happens on this show is directly in your face.
Yep. Tom is not going to do anything
anything
behind your back.
That's true.
He'll look you right in the eye and stab you in the front.
That's all right. I was like, I recall that Fun KB happening.
So I do have to disappoint you right off the bat. You will not be on the show with Young MC. I would try it as hard as I could. I even changed the day to Tuesday. You just couldn't do it.
I literally have been practicing. You're
Well, you
on a
can
mission and
drop
you're
on early if you want. I want
condition. It is my karaoke song, so I was like,
Yeah, he's going to be on Tuesday at 8:45. So I don't know. You might have to call in.
Might
Wake up
early
at 5
for-
o'clock in the morning. Or whatever.
8:45.
Yeah.
I'll be in the waiting room for hours. That way people will forget about me.
She's just going to be listening and
Bring me in.
Yeah. No, I woke up at 5:30 today, so I don't recommend it.
I wake up at 5 every day, so I know.
Ugh.
Early.
Yeah, but you go to sleep knowing you're going to wake up at 5. So
do.
that's
Yes.
a big part of it. I mean,
Yes,
I
and
did
it-
go to sleep early because, it had to be here at 8. But, nothing prepares you for an extra hour and a half early.
Yeah.
But going to work at 8 is not bad.
Well, no, I mean, But yeah, I had to get here at 8, but I had to leave at like 7:15-ish.
This is Andy we're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's all relative.
Yep.
I know, because I'm like, if you lived in LA, you'd have to be in the car at 5 a.m. to get to your job at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
I could not do that.
No.
That traffic is.
I way overestimated traffic this morning. I was like, I'm going to leave at 7 because I don't want to get stuck there and then do. So I'm sitting in the car in the parking lot for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't even know if the building is open before like 7:30 or 8.
Yeah, it is.
It
People were
works.
going in. There weren't very many cars, but people were here.
Yeah,
That's when you make a stop at Caribou.
Yeah, and there is one right
funky
there.
Coffee.
Yeah, and Fridays I think traffic is usually a little less because people work from home
They're up
more
north.
often, or they are up north.
They're all catching muskies.
It is deer season, you know.
That's true.
Yep.
Kristen's a big hunter, I would assume.
Oh my gosh. No.
I could see her out there all oranged up.
I would literally be crying my eyes out. I
don't think I could do it.
I could not do it. And no.
I mean, like, if you had like an anti-materiel rifle and just like blew it into smithereens. So it's like there's no corpse to go up to. I think I could do that.
That defeats the purpose.
Because
of
I want to
hunting.
be able to eat the
Right, exactly.
the venison steak, I guess.
Or like, how about a gun that turns it into hamburgers, just like
Instantaneously?
immediately? Exactly. There you go. I could
Maybe
do
that would be it, like strips of bacon or something. I mean, I know. I don't even like thinking. I'm not a huge meat eater, but I eat bacon. I eat cheeseburgers, every once in a while. And even, if someone will ruin the mood if they're vegetarians or, vegans, and they'll be like, do you know how? And I'm like,
yeah.
I can't even think about it. There was a woman that I was following on TikTok at one point, and she had like pet pigs that were great. But then all of a sudden she brought these other pigs in the farm, and she was like, these are going to be our like bacon pigs, whatever. And I was like, I can't follow you anymore because I can't get attached to these pigs that I don't even know and don't live near. I think she's in Missouri, but I can't handle that aspect of farm life.
Yeah, we have some friends in Florida, and they have like a big like ranch, and they got the horses and stuff like that. And they had a pig, and we were talking about, like, oh, you got this pig, and they're like, oh yeah, in 3 months or whatever, we're gonna send it off, and we're gonna make it into ham and bacon and stuff. And I remember the daughter, who was like probably 14ish at the time, just like kind of tearing up a little bit silently in the corner.
Yeah,
because she was like getting attached to this pig, and she knows it's a doomed animal.
Yep.
I don't know how farmers do it.
No. Well, growing up, we lived in kind of out in the woods, and we had wood tick problems. And so we got these guinea hens that were supposed to eat the wood ticks. And then you can send the guinea hens off when they're of the right age, and now you get a chicken to eat. And so my brother and sister were like, oh, we're going to name them. Like, this one's like fluffy and whatever.
Nope.
And I was like, no. This one's name is pot pie, deep fried, like
this
chicken
is
wing.
chicken one.
Yep.
I am so sensitive that like when a movie, and obviously we know that in a movie the animal is not killed half the time. Now they're CGI animals.
Yeah, they're not even real animals.
Yeah, I can't even look at an animal being pretend harm on film. And even last night watching Gladiator 2, there's like a scene with a rhino. It is clearly a CGI rhino. I'm telling you, I'm like, I can't watch this scene. I know what's going to happen to the rhino. And listen, it's not a real rhino. I know that, but it's just I guess because you always think like kids and animals, they're so helpless that
right, exactly.
It's that it tugs at your heart.
Although when I think helpless, I really don't think rhino too often.
Yeah,
you don't, but at the same time, they're being put into an arena in a gladiator fight. So you sit there and think that they are.
They didn't do the good ending where he like mounts the rhino and escapes to freedom.
Yeah.
That's a Disney film. This is not a Disney film.
Animals are like the one thing that kind of unites everybody. I feel like no matter what your beliefs are, like the Kirk Herbstreit works for ESPN covering the NFL and college football. He brings his elderly dog with him to all the games. And like, as he's calling the games, the dog will be on the floor by his feet. And I remember PETA and like a bunch of people were like, oh, well, it's not great for the dog to be traveling so much and all this. And it's like, no, leave the dog alone. He's living a much better life than all of us.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, he did pass away. They had to put him down for cancer.
Old Ben.
Yep, old Ben. But yeah,
and when you got to spend time with the owner and the pet, I don't know. I think the time and the bond is then leaving the dog at home with a pet sitter. I don't know. That just sounds like a better option.
How about Peanut the squirrel?
Yeah, Peanut the squirrel as well.
It's another story. So a couple podcasts, because it became a political story and it became a pop culture story. And I started fast forwarding. I'm like, I can't even listen about a squirrel. It hurts my feelings so much. It's
Was
just
there a raccoon too?
Yeah, I think he had a raccoon too.
raccoon and a squirrel.
And a raccoon.
And I was like, who? I get it. It's like, it's not the situation. It's not the living situation, maybe for an animal that's supposed to be like out in, the woods. But at the same time, I'm like, I would never be the one to be calling the authorities to be like, he's got a squirrel.
No. I think both of those animals would be perfectly happy as long as you don't lock your kitchen cabinets.
Right. Like he was feeding them.
They'll raid your house every day for something to eat and they'll just go back to sleep.
Right. They didn't have to worry about like a hawk swooping in and picking them up off the ground.
Yeah.
I think they
life
did
of squirrels don't have great lives.
No.
Unfortunately. They're cute and fluffy, but yeah, it's all it takes is an owl finding you and that's it.
Kristen, is there any
chance.
Entertainment news that we should be aware of as we head into the weekend here?
Well, I think just in talking about Gladiator 2 and Wicked, I think we're going to have, I don't necessarily think we're going to have a Barbenheim situation, but I think we're going to have a really, it's not until the weekend of the 22nd, but I really think that this is, and then the week after that is Moana 2. I really think we're going to see a strong end to the year where it's been so up and down and people haven't been going to the movies. People haven't had a reason to really go to the movies. I know, they went and saw Wolverine and they saw, this summer we did okay. They saw Bad Boys 4. But it's one of those situations that the theater owners have not been able to count on regular traffic. And I think maybe we'll hit that at the end of the year, which is kind of nice. And there's something for everyone out there, which I think that there hasn't been. You've got your musical theater fans covered with Wicked. You've got your action film with Gladiator 2. You've got your family film with Moana 2. And clearly these are all properties that they're not original stories. As I'm saying this, I'm like, they're all like franchise IPs that we all know.
That's the way of things now.
That is the way of things. It's really kind of crazy. But I think over the holiday, at least over the Thanksgiving holiday, there'll be some fun stuff to see.
Yeah. And have you heard anything on Deliver Me From Nowhere, the biopic on Bruce Springsteen that Jeremy Allen White is playing? I saw some photos of it and it looks like, I'm not a Bruce Springsteen fan by any stretch of the imagination, but it actually looks like a pretty cool movie and like it was well done. I know he visited set the other day as well.
Yeah, so they're still filming the Bruce Springsteen biopic, and Jeremy Allen White, just to familiarize everyone, he's on The Bear, if you're watching that on Hulu/FX. And of course, he's from Shameless for, I think that ran 11 seasons. He's an incredible actor. He's kind of at the height of his fame right now. A lot of people, to me, and I think this is kind of weird, they're like, he doesn't look like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm like, I see it. I mean, he's not a dead ringer, but I see it with like the curly hair and kind of like the weird angular face. Like, I think it actually works. And Bruce Springsteen signed off on this and said, I think it's the perfect person to play me. They've both spoken sort of about how Jeremy Allen White's going to approach the whole role. So I think with Bruce's blessing, I'm really going to be interested in how this comes out. And we also have Timothée Chalamet playing Bob Dylan. That's another one that's going to be coming out soon. So I'm curious to see, because those are two probably the hottest young actors out there right now.
Oh, absolutely. I think Jeremy Allen White is probably the first actor in a long time where you could just tell me he's the lead guy in the movie, and I'd be like, all right, I'm going to go check that out just because he is so talented.
He's so good. I think it's because, to me, his emotional range is good. It's easy to play like the hard drama, but he really plays vulnerable drama really well too. That you sort of like, you feel what's going on below the surface with him. And he's always been like that. When he played Lip on Shameless, even when the show kind of took a veered left, when they get into that 9th, 10th, 11th season, they don't know the story. And I followed it all the way to the end where they went off into like the universe. I did anyone see the very last episode of Shameless?
No, I couldn't do it.
Stretching for topics at that point.
Yeah. Oh, they were. And the way that they literally were like sitting on chairs and going up into like the Milky Way. I was like, what? So watch the very last episode ever of Shameless and you'll know what I'm talking about, because it was bananas.
This is the show where it's a bunch of people like in the ghetto or whatever, just having a crappy life. Going into the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I think they were trying to end it in like a campy way, in the way the Gallagher family was, because there's always some camp underlying with that family. But I was really like, come on, you can definitely wrap
Do
this up better
than this.
Yeah. So the Bob Dylan movie is a complete unknown. That's the one with Timothée Chalamet that's going to be coming out. So, but lots of biopics.
Is the that one being a complete unknown? Are they keeping everything under wraps on purpose, or is it just that nobody really?
It's going to be out later this year, so it's going to be in the mix for Oscar season. So it'll be out around Christmas time. Timothée Chalamet, we've seen some of the photos from set. They've released a few of them. I don't know how his singing's going to be, but I'll tell you, he looks like a young Bob Dylan, not the older Bob Dylan, but they're kind of filming about his rise in the West Village and some of the jazz clubs and there. So it should be pretty interesting.
What were the beatnik scene thing?
The beatnik scene. Yep, exactly. And I believe it's Elle Fanning who is also in it. So another one who's got a hot career.
Yeah, she plays Sylvie Russo.
Yeah. And I believe there's a love triangle like there is with every good, like Walk the Line. You always have to have a June Carter Cash and why can't Johnny Cash, of course.
Yep.
There's not drama in the love story. They're not going to film it.
No, there you go. Got to be drama.
Yeah. Oh, what is there anything else movie wise, TV show wise that we can watch this weekend at all, or is it a pretty quiet?
I know one thing's coming out. Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Are you lining up? It's on streaming.
Now. I mean, so Ethan watched Sonic 1 a few days ago, and he watched Sonic 2 yesterday, which we didn't think he was going to sit through because there's a lot of live action parts. You got human characters talking to one another. It's like the least interesting thing in the world to a toddler. But so a long time ago, The Simpsons did this bit where they had this new character called Poochie, and like he basically took over a cartoon. And the executives MO, he said, whenever Poochie's not on screen, all the other characters should be asking, where's Poochie? That is what watching that movie with Ethan was like. Whenever Sonic was not on screen, he was literally saying, where's Sonic? And then Sonic came back on screen. He said, Sonic's back. It was interesting stuff, but I don't know. I mean, he liked the movies a lot, but I think he might have been too young, especially for the second one. Because there's a big battle at the end of the second one. The first one isn't really at all violent, but the second one they do a lot of Knuckles is in it, so they do a lot of punching and stuff like that. And 3, I don't know. I don't think he's ready for that sort of thing because I don't know if it's a coincidence that he had his night terrors the day after he watched the movie. Yeah. So
probably maybe just go back to 1 because kids will watch things over and over again.
Yeah. God, he watched Robots 7 times in a row.
Has he reached his Cars era? Because every little boy seems to go through Cars era.
He liked Cars probably a year and a half ago.
Oh, so he's already grown out of it.
He's kind of out of it. Every so often he'll be like Cars, but he's just he likes things, but he also forgets about them. It'll be tomorrow. His favorite thing in the world, he doesn't care about anymore.
Yeah.
So
is he into any of the Disney or Pixar yet?
He loves Toy Story.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yesterday while we were going to bed, he has this coloring book of Toy Story, and he was like, okay, so Dad is Woody and Daisy is Buzz Lightyear. And then Mom is, and then he was doing that. But then he eventually changed his mind and said, we should all just be Buzz Lightyear.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole family is Buzz Lightyear.
Do you have anything that you're like, oh, he's for sure going to love this. And then he doesn't like it. And you're like, dang it. I really wanted us to be able to bond over my favorite childhood movie.
Melissa wanted to get him into How to Train Your Dragon. And we thought the dragons are fun and it's animated and that sort of thing, but there's fighting a lot in that too.
Has he gotten into any of the Disney musicals? Because I know it seems that every kid, including boys, go through a Frozen phase. I don't know what it is about Frozen.
In the past week, we took a video of him jumping off the couch while Love is an Open Door was going on the movie. So, and he was like jumping off the couch and yelling, like door and that sort of thing, just like in the movie. Yep.
There's something about the music of
Yep.
Frozen in particular that it's like crack to little kids.
Yeah, it sure is.
And it was aimed at a female audience, but honestly, it is an everyone audience. Like families really get into it.
Every year at a golf course here in Minnesota, I'll DJ like a father-daughter dance, and you play Let It Go, and it is a full concert of
spinning and
little girls
yelling,
just scream singing Let It Go.
You know what it is, Tevin? It is the kindergarten angst song. That's what it is.
That's
Let it
true.
go. I mean, every
hearts collectively,
but watch them sing it. It is their angst song. Like as a teen, you grow into your angsty songs. No, we got one for kindergartners now.
That's
with Frozen. Thanks.
Well, it's about feeling things. Kindergartners do a lot of that.
Right,
So
they miss nap time. Just let it
A
go.
lot of big feelings that they can sing thanks to Idina Menzel.
So yes,
or Adele Dazeem, as
he likes
John
all the things that he's supposed to like at that age.
Yep.
He likes all the Disney movies. He likes the singing. Toy Story, Cars, into all of it.
He liked my car, that's for sure.
Yeah, he likes Cars, the vehicle, not just the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, he's very into machinery and that sort of thing.
Engineered brain.
Yeah, I would say so. At least at the moment.
Yep.
Wants to see how everything works and just loves to see machines. Whenever we drive past a tractor, he's like, look, there's a tractor over there. And we drive past a lot of tractors out where I live. Oh, and harvest season. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
With the combines out there and everything. Good stuff. But I don't know if you got any other. Do you plan on seeing Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Or?
I do not plan on seeing Sonic. I think the big show that's up on this weekend is Yellowstone. And I know we talked about it the other day, but the second half of season 5, they're calling it 5B, arrives on Sunday. So if you've been waiting 2 years for Yellowstone to finally wrap up between strikes and Kevin Costner drama, it'll finally land on Paramount Plus.
Well, all right. If you're not a Sonic fan, I'm going to have to let you go.
I know. That's it. I'm getting kicked out.
And Tom will be back on Monday. So this is just a temporary thing I'm doing today. But yeah, it's not the first time that we've talked.
And it won't be the
You've been part of the show since late 2012.
Yeah, 2012. In the fall of 2012, I came in.
Before there was video, and like in my mind, I just had to imagine what Chris and Bert was like.
That's true. Yeah.
Now your face is broadcast to millions.
We didn't start doing this until a year ago?
When we started
had video, but it was
show.
Yeah, we didn't have you come on video and stuff like that. It was all on the phone.
Yep.
Well, all right. We are going to be doing the family show afterwards. So anyone who's listening and wondering about that, you can stick around for that. But as for the Tom Barnard podcast, that'll do it for this week.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.
We'll see you back with Tom on Monday.